Hi everyone, this is meant to go over your health communications PSA assignment with specific directions. So you're going to produce a product that must be on your topic and for your audience. Notice that's highlighted because if it's not on your topic or it's not appropriate for your audience, you will lose significant number of points. So you're going to submit two documents. One will be the item you've created and the second will be a reference list. The reference list will have at least one item on it, and that would be the reference to where you received your graphic. If you actually use a graphic from a free source. You can also choose to sketch or draw your own graphic, and if you do that, you need to make sure it's print ready. So do not submit something that's sloppy or in draft format if you are drawing it yourself. So there's two basic things you can do here. You can do a print artifact or an audiovisual artifact. So let's talk about the print artifact first. If you do a print artifact, you must work alone. You cannot work in a group of 2 or 3. You will create a document that opens across platforms, for example, PDF, Word, Publisher, Canva. It must open across platforms. If it does not open across platforms, you will receive a 0 and there are no resubmissions. You might choose to create a PSA or a communication tool to market your event. PSAs are similar to what we saw in the lecture, and they have minimal words on them. If you think back to the slides in the lecture, some of those actually had no words on them. A communication tool to market your event would be something in print format that would motivate people to come to your event. A communication tool to market your events will have fewer than 25 words on it. If you had exactly 25, that would be fine. If you go over 25, you will lose points. If you think about flyers that you've seen that market events, they do not have a lot of words on them because people do not want to spend time reading. They just want to skim over a document to see what's happening. Your second option is to do an audiovisual artifact. In an audiovisual artifact, if you choose that, you may work alone or you may work in groups of 2 or 3 like you have on other assignments. In this artifact, you're going to create one item or a series of items that are equivalent to 30 to 60 seconds. So audiovisual has to equal 30 to 60 seconds of material. They can be a PSA or media to promote your event. Here's some examples of what you could use. All of these documents must be in MP4 format. That's created by things like Screencast-O-Matic or Powtoon. You don't have to use those software products, but those are free, but there are also other free software. If you choose to use something, make sure that it's readable across platforms. Again, if it is not readable across platforms, you will receive a 0 and you may not resubmit it. So here are some examples of what you might create. The first one says a 30 to 60 second PSA for television spot. Ads for television spots are typically 30 to 60 seconds, and that would be equivalent to a commercial. You would create a PSA for a television spot, or you could create a marketing tool, but 30 to 60 seconds for a marketing tool is very long. So stick to PSA. Or you could create a series of pop-up ads for social media or a series of short videos to market your event. People really don't want to watch a marketing tool very long. So if you do social media pop-ups, you would have to have 30 to 60 seconds worth of pop-up ads. If you do a series of short videos to market your event, again, 30 to 60 second time period for what you create. Again, the goal is to either create something that is a public service announcement about your topic for your audience, or it is to market your event for your audience. If you work in a group for this audiovisual artifact, one person submits the assignment and everyone submits the peer review form, which we will look at shortly. So, a question that comes up a lot in this assignment is, well, what is plagiarism? Because plagiarism in a written document is very clear. Plagiarism in a graphic is sometimes not as clear. So I ask you to simply use common sense and ask yourself, if this were a written paper without a graphic design, would it breach student conduct or integrity policies? If the percentage of what you're using is too high, just like in a written paper, it will be plagiarism. It will be counted as plagiarism with the same penalties. If you're not sure, you have a question that you want clarified, make sure you ask. There are software products to run graphics through, so I will run your graphics through that software to see how they've been used in the past. And if they've been used in a way that's very similar or exactly like you're using it, you will be penalized. It's better to ask than to submit something that could result in a 0 and referral to student affairs. So here's an example of a breach of student conduct or integrity policy. So if you searched for a PSA on drugs and you found this one that said, "This is your brain on drugs," which is an actual PSA from a War Against Drugs campaign, and then you used the same graphic and you said, "This is your mind on drugs," or "Drugs can fry your brain," that's plagiarism. It's the same graphic, same message. So my comment to you about how to avoid plagiarism in this case is to not look for PSAs on your topic. You should first come up with some ideas on what you want your message to be, and then look for graphics to support your message. So keep that in mind, and again, ask if you have questions. So here is the working in group format, and it will be there. In your other papers, this column is filled out for you. It is not filled out for you in this because each project that you do is very different. So in this column, you will have to put what the person did, the person's name, and the grade. Again, this has to be filled in by you this time because the graphic designs that you do are very different from other assignments that you do. And finally, the scoring tool. So this is the criteria on how it's going to be scored. Make sure you understand it. The first criteria is that it's short, simple, easy to understand, content specific. So in other words, when you show it to people, they know immediately what the topic is. There's no guessing. If you meet all those criteria, you get 5. If you don't meet all the criteria, you'll receive 2 to 3 points. And if it only meets one of the criteria, you'll receive 1 point. And if it's not on your topic, it equals 0. So for example, when I look at your product, when I look at your artifact that you create, if I question what it's about, I typically show it to a couple other people to see what they think. If it's not clear, you'll receive a 0 on this section. So I recommend that you show it to several people without telling them what you're doing. You just show them your product and you say, "What do you think this is about?" or "What do you think the message is?" If they're not getting what you think they should get, then it's not clear. The next criteria is that it's accurate with complete information. So I'm expecting all information to be accurate and complete, that whatever it is you're doing, that you have the information that needs to be there and that it's correct. The next one is that it's age appropriate and appealing to the audience. So if you have all of those, you'll receive a 5, and then you start to lose points. If you meet diversity in one other category, you'll receive 2 to 3 points. And if diversity is not met, you'll receive 1. So think about what diversity means for your population. It could mean male and female. It could mean gender identity. It could mean orientation, sexual orientation. It could mean race, ethnicity, age appropriateness. Think about the age of your population and is your document appropriate for that age? All of those things are parts of diversity. Think about ability levels, reading levels, language, first language of your population. So just think about all of those items and make sure that you are trying to reach diversity in an appropriate way in your document or your artifact. This is that you use basic design principles, and there's a link to basic design principles in the slideshow. Catchy phrase or slogan or appropriate humor, make sure that's there. If you create something without any words, which is very difficult to do, I will look at the graphic to see if it's catchy, if it has humor, is it appropriate. Most of you will have some words on your document, but if not, I will adjust this to look at the graphic only. And then spelling and grammar, if you have no errors, that's a 2, 1 error is a 1, and more than one error is a 0. And in reality, it would just be totally inappropriate to have any errors on a graphic design that you're proposing to be published. So that is the scoring rubric. So hopefully this helps you do well on the assignment. This is a really exciting assignment usually for you to do because it allows you to be creative, and it also is different than the typical writing assignment. So I look forward to seeing your assignments, and I hope you enjoy creating them as much as I enjoy looking at them.